The plant-based food advocates are funny in a way. They tout their fake meat alternatives as being better for the environment, and they are driven by a mission to get people away from eating meat. Good luck to them on that. Eating meat is as natural for human beings as consuming salt, drinking water, or seeking out sunshine. But nonetheless, they have a mission to push their fake meat to the point where they're spending billions of dollars trying to find a processed meat alternative that tastes like, well, what they think the real thing tastes like, that fools consumers into thinking that they actually taste good and is good for the environment at the same time. Again, good luck to them on that. The problem is you can't have processed foods that taste good and are good for the environment at the same time. Processed foods are horrible for the environment, as we well know. And I've gone over that in the past in videos not even that long ago. They just have a higher environmental impact than anything else. But that fact doesn't stop the pushers of fake meat, though, since this whole plant-based meat thing isn't really about the environment at all. What they want is a product that is cheap to produce with a high profit margin, and they think they can get it with fake meat. Plus, many of the public figures pushing the fake meat get the added benefits of a more docile and manipulatable public, and that is a double win for them when you see who's usually behind these companies. The funny thing about the push for fake meat is that when you describe the process of making the fake meat to people, it becomes obvious how disgusting this stuff actually is. Case in point, headline from foodingredientsfirst.com. IFF extruded protein poised to shake up whole muscle plant-based meat alternatives production. I don't know about you, but the word extruded doesn't make their product sound particularly appetizing. IFF is the name of the company behind this product, and that acronym stands for the International Flavors and Fragrances Corporation, which makes their food sound even more appetizing than it already did before. And wouldn't you know it, Bill Gates has a history with IFF, which is also not terribly surprising. But as you'll see here, that processed meat slop sounds absolutely revolting. From that article, quote, IFF aims to take ground meat burgers to the next level with its latest ingredient, a plant-based protein based on soy called Suprotex, which is poised to accelerate growth in the alternative meat category. IFF hails the texture and versatility of its new solution, which provides a very similar texture to chunky pieces of whole muscle animal protein in an easy-to-use format that does not require major capital investment for manufacturers to begin production. The new 80% protein is based on soy protein, a complete high-quality protein comparable in quality to animal protein, or so they claim. IFF stresses that as a dry product, it eliminates the need for a cold supply chain, simplifying and reducing shipping costs and storage. What makes Suprotex stand out in the plant-based space is, for the first time, meat alternative manufacturers can make tender plant-based protein, whole muscle pieces or chunks without the need for major capital investment or a refrigerated supply chain, says Michelle Malema, the Global Innovation Director at IFF. This is the latest from IFF's Reimagined Protein program, where we accelerate the development of breakthrough ingredients and technologies to meet the needs of our customers and consumers. By combining science and creativity, we're developing an end-to-end portfolio of plant-based solutions that pushes past traditional boundaries to change the way people eat, he continues. End quote. This is an industrial product made for industrial product producers. Don't be surprised that soy is the main ingredient in this food item, or that it's shelf stable. Soy is cheap, and it's as complete a protein as you will find in the plant world. That doesn't make it good or healthy for human beings. There are problems with soy as a protein source. No part of a proper human diet includes the consumption of non-fermented soy, or soy of any kind for that matter, but especially non-fermented soy, which is loaded with phytoestrogens and other plant-based defense chemicals designed rather specifically to get you not to eat the plant. What I find absolutely astonishing is that they think this sounds good to people. It doesn't sound good at all, but it can be engineered to taste good, evidently. We have a related story to this that shows what I mean here. Headline from The Guardian. How can we cut soaring demand for meat? Try a hybrid burger. Blending lentils or vegetables into meat products could have huge benefits for the environment, animal welfare, and human health. The meat to transition the population to fake meat will be blended with plant-based proteins because that actually makes sense from a purely strategic standpoint. If this starts showing up in stores, I'll let you know so you can start reading the labels for yourself. Add this to the list of reasons to start buying beef wholesale from a rancher directly. But here's the nuttiest part about this. Apparently, in taste tests, consumers actually found that the hybrid burgers tasted better than 100% beef. That's if you trust the study, and I'll show you why you shouldn't. Now, I'm suspicious of the claim that they make in that article, which starts out with the usual propaganda of the impact of animal agriculture on the environment, which we know isn't true, but they have to keep making the false claim that they keep making anyway, and I'd repeat it here, but you've heard it 100,000 times probably. From the article, though, quote, "There's another way to reduce meat consumption. It uses a change in how food is produced to change what we consume. It can be deployed immediately and at scale. The meat in burgers or similar foods could be blended with plant-based meat alternatives, or with fresh ingredients such as mushrooms or lentils. Discussions about the benefits of blended products have been circulating for a few years. In 2015, the James Beard Foundation started running a competition for chefs to make tastier blended burgers. The difference now is that given the small market share of meat alternatives and the need to cut meat consumption, they should put need in air quotes, by the way, blended products might be essential to achieve international sustainability targets at the scale and speed required. Using data on the environmental impacts of food, I estimated what would happen if two food companies, which represent 2 to 3% of global beef purchases, Burger King and McDonald's, swapped out 50% of the beef in their burgers for plant-based meat to create blended burgers. Demand for global agricultural land would be reduced by about 8.5 million hectares, or 21 million acres. That's an area the size of Ireland. Given total agriculture area is actually declining at the global level, it is unlikely that new farmland would simply take the place of former grazing areas. Instead, as happens when wool demand collapsed during the 1990s, the land would probably revert to nature. End quote. You can't even use that land in most cases for anything but grazing anyway. Very little actual advocacy for how good the product is in that article, but a major outlet read by policymakers in the UK is pushing it anyway. Instead of an argument, they just repeat talking points, and in the world of politics, what else should we expect? In that article, the author cites this study, titles on your screen, from the Journal of Food Quality and Preference, which describes itself as, quote, "Food Quality and Preference is a journal devoted to sensory, consumer, and behavioral research in food and non-food products. It publishes original research, critical reviews, and short communications in sensory and consumer science and sensometrics." In other words, it's an industry journal funded by the processed food industry. So the processed food industry tells us that processed fake meat tastes as good or better than the real thing. Then the Guardian prints the article, which is read by policymakers in London. Pretty convenient how that works, right? I've promised a video on the problem of peer-reviewed studies in general. Consider what I just said, they're part of the problem. Most journals are funded either directly or indirectly by industries that profit off of the research that they publish, which tends to skew the results. I have no reason to trust the results of pretty much any such study, nor should you. Yes, sometimes studies come out that benefit our side of the argument, like that study that Dr. Sean Baker talked about recently that shows that red meat doesn't actually cause all those health problems that we keep being told that they cause, and it does so rather conclusively. You know, the anti-meat people can't get off that train of saying this stuff is bad for us, but in general, the scientific establishment has been co-opted by big money interests, and that should surprise no one who has been paying attention for the past almost 3 years now. Science often takes a backseat to profits. But I'm curious what you think about this, so let me know in the comments if you try a hybrid burger, or if you're more likely to start reading beef labels at the store to make sure that it's 100% beef that you're actually buying. Or if you plan to buy a whole or half cow instead of trusting the food at the store. I had a video on that earlier this week, so go watch it so you know what you're getting yourself into. But let me know in the comments, please. Like and subscribe if you haven't, it really does help. Sharing this on social media helps a lot as well. I'm Anthony Stine, the Practical Carnivore. Thanks for your time today.